The Joe Rogan Experience.
The biggest controversy in America in terms of transgender people, probably the biggest, or one of the biggest, is competing in sports with biological women. That's the biggest one.
Yes. If you're asking me for answers on that, haven't really got them. I know, I've got a good one for washrooms, as you call them, lavatories, restrooms.
What's your take on that?
Urinals, as you call them. We call them urinals.
Mm-hmm.
Just chuck them all out, and everyone it's all cubicles. And we already do that in restaurants. We already share stuff, the toilets. We do it in aeroplanes. We have no bother. But if you just remove urinals in theaters and places, there won't be queuing. Often the women are queuing forever, and the men are not queuing. Mm-hmm. This way, everyone shares. Everyone behaves with their own responsibility. I've heard of it working in a school as well. There was less bullying in the loos. So it's the idea, just it's regression of technology, I take it. So get the urinal, chuck it out the window. Everyone has a cubicle. Just go to the loo and then use the mirrors and then go away.
So everything being for both genders.
Yeah, you just make it all even, then we get outside a lot of problems. Some people will have pushback on that and have other reasons why they don't like it. But
a lot of women don't want to be in a washroom with men, though.
Well, they already are going into, if they're sharing it in the loos in the airplane, if they're sharing it in a...
Yeah, but an airplane is one... it's only
restaurants.
One person to go in there. I think their concern is there's, some men are fucking creeps. And some women just want to have a place where they could just be themselves and just check their makeup and go to the bathroom and wash and talk amongst other women.
I understand that. It's just if you think about anything that's going to change anything, there's usually something that won't.
Right, but the only reason to do this is to accommodate people who are transgender in a way that it seems like it doesn't put them in a position where they can be judged because everyone's doing it.
It makes if it stops bullying in schools, then it's a number of things in there that it can make easier. It just makes a whole area of things a lot easier.
Do you think it would stop? How would it stop bullying though?
I don't know. Well, it has. I mean, I'm just giving you the figures that have come
back.
What
have they said?
Well, they just said that they tried it in a school and the bullying went down. So if there's girls and there's boys together, it's like boys will bully the boys or girls will bully the girls. But if you, so
once you have them all together, they don't.
It seems so. Now
and then just punish the creeps, which is really what you. I mean, if someone's being a creep in a bathroom, the problem is the creep. It's not the bathroom.
Right. Yeah. It's anyway. So this is I haven't scientifically proved this with chemicals and a slide rule or whatever, but it's an idea that gets us to a better place, and surely we're all somewhere on the spectrum of something. So the idea that that anyone who is expressing themselves in a different way, that is a problem. Mm-hmm. If you take about it just straight, if we all went back to how we used to think that there was just men and women and everyone had straight sex, even that sex, no one would talk about that. People, Victorian age and your equivalent of Victorian age, no one would talk about that. That was all horrible. Sex was, procreation was dirty.
Yes.
The whole idea of everything. So I'm trying to get out to a practical place where people just go to the loo and behave like adults. Even the kids seem to behave more like adults, which is interesting.
That makes sense. I see what you're saying. Yeah. That is the concern, right? Was that we have a system in place and someone tries to change the system, then people get upset. The transgender
and that
women
always happens.
Yeah.
I mean, but also women do queue forever and men don't queue at all.
Right.
Or queue much less. But this makes queuing, it makes queuing evens that out. So everyone just behaves like an adult. It's just a toilet. The Romans used to have it with open plan toilets. They'd have a chat.
I've seen that.
We have made it into a problem. We have made this a whole psychological problem. Whereas the Romans just sit down there and have a poo and have a chat.
And once they did make it a problem and categorize people by gender, then it became this thing, and now you don't want to change that.
Well, I don't think they might have had male and female toilets in the Roman times, but it's just the fact that they were more open about the idea that it's bodily functions. And,
it's just normal.
And we've, back in the before we came in, and we were just going out into the woods and the forest and having a poo. And it was just having a poo, and now we feel it's a big problem having a poo, or we don't like the fact we have a poo. We don't want to admit that we have the poo. Does the Queen ever have a poo? Maybe never.
Has the attitude, besides the marathon thing, has the attitude culturally shifted in the UK the same way it's shifted in America, where people are more?
I think there's more and more people are out and positive. I mean, you've basically got to from every group. This is ethnic groups. This is from women. This is from anyone that feels slightly out of the loop. If you can have any positive role models that go out there that do other things, just something that's nothing to do with sexuality. You're very good at cooking. You're on television for this. I mean, it tends to be television helps. You're a great sports star. You're this. You're that. You whatever. Those things, people say, well, there's a positive role model, and they are of a different color or of a different sexuality, or and that just helps everyone adjust their mindset. And the younger people come through, and that's all they know. I know about this person. In baseball, do you see the famous documentary baseball?
Ken Burns?
Yeah, the Ken Burns one. And that black people, after the Civil War, black people were playing baseball. And then there was some guy who was very powerful. He said there would be no black people in major leagues at all. And it was blocked from about 1890, something like this, all the way through to 1950s. Mm-hmm. So it was actually happening, and then it went backwards. Yeah. So there was a positive role model, and then, why ever that happened, things can go backwards and things go forwards. And I just think, if we're trying to get to a world where everyone's live and let live.
Yeah. That's really what we need, right? Yeah. Just live and let live.
Live and let live.
As long as you're not interfering with other people's lives, as long as you're not doing something that somehow or another fucks with someone else. Yeah. Like, who cares? Yeah. Why would anyone care? Yeah. I mean, I think people care because they're unhappy with themselves. I think that's the only time people care. And my issue with this that I've come across is with athletes. It's with transgender athletes competing against women, particularly in my field, in fighting. Right. There was one very vocal case, one very public case of a transgender athlete who was male for 30 plus years, transitioned over for a couple of years, for 2 years, and then started fighting women. Didn't tell them that she used to be a man. Right. And it became a giant issue, and people were outraged and angry. The women who got beat up were angry because they got destroyed. 2 of them did. And then she was public about it, and then started fighting women that were willing and knew.
You got to say things up front. Yeah, yes. I mean, I came out that long ago because I wanted to be up front about things. So, yeah, and I don't have the great answers. I don't have the answer of everything, but yeah, I can see that.
I think one of the interesting things about it is that there are no real answers. That it's one of those things where you just got to go, what do we do here? And this is what I think one of the more unique things about being a person is that we have this opportunity to look at this unusual circumstance and communicate about it and try to figure it out.